Choices reveal more about us than years of introspection. Not because they are logical, but because they emerge before logic has time to interfere. Right now, you are being invited into one of those moments. Before you are 4 animals. They are not ordinary creatures. Each one carries a different energy, a different psychological force, a different truth about how you navigate existence. Before your mind starts comparing, analyzing, or searching for meaning, pause. Take a breath. Let your eyes rest on them. Notice which animal pulls you in quietly, without explanation. This is important. Do not think. The moment you analyze, you step away from the truth this test is designed to reveal. Carl Jung believed that symbols speak directly to the unconscious mind. Long before we learn to explain ourselves, our inner world already understands images, instincts, and archetypal patterns. The unconscious does not communicate in words. It communicates through attraction, discomfort, curiosity, and recognition. The animal you feel drawn to is not random. It reflects a dominant psychological force currently shaping your life, whether you are aware of it or not. Many people spend years trying to understand themselves through thinking, reading, or endless questioning. Yet some of the most accurate insights emerge when we do the opposite, when we allow ourselves to choose without justification. This test works precisely because it bypasses the rational mind and reaches something deeper. As you look at these animals, you may feel calm, tension, familiarity, or resistance. Do not correct these reactions. Resistance itself is meaningful. Sometimes we are drawn not to what feels comfortable, but to what feels necessary. Once you have chosen, hold that image in your mind. Do not rush ahead. Each animal represents a different relationship with belonging, vision, flow, and transformation. None is better or worse than the others. They simply reveal different ways the psyche learns to survive, adapt, and grow. This is not about predicting your future or labeling your personality. It is about recognizing which inner force is currently asking to be seen. Jung called this process individuation, the gradual unfolding of who you truly are beneath roles, expectations, and fear. In the next moments, you will explore what your chosen animal symbolizes. You may recognize yourself immediately, or you may feel unsettled. Both reactions are valid. Self-knowledge is not always comfortable, but it is always honest. So before we begin, commit to one thing. Stay open. What you are about to discover may already be shaping your decisions more than you realize. Now let us meet the first animal. The wolf. Loyalty and the need for belonging. If you chose the wolf, you are deeply connected to relationship and tribe. This animal represents loyalty, pack consciousness, and the profound human need to belong. The wolf does not survive alone. It thrives within a social structure where bonds are fierce and survival depends on cooperation. People drawn to this animal often carry a heightened awareness of connection. You are attuned to group dynamics. You notice who is included, who is excluded, who leads, and who follows. You understand that humans are social creatures, and isolation cuts deeper than most realize. You likely value trust above almost everything. When someone betrays that trust, it does not merely hurt, it destabilizes your sense of reality. Loyalty is not just a virtue to you. It is the foundation upon which you build your world. You may have a small circle of people you would defend without hesitation, and a larger circle of acquaintances you keep at distance. This is not coldness. It is discernment. You have learned that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. From a Jungian perspective, the wolf connects to the archetype of the pack, which represents both the safety of belonging and the danger of losing oneself within collective identity. Those who resonate with the wolf often feel this tension acutely. You need community. You need to feel that you matter to others, that your presence is valued, that you are part of something larger. Yet you may also fear being absorbed by the group, losing your voice, or compromising your authenticity to maintain harmony. This creates inner conflict. You want to belong, but you also want to be yourself. You want loyalty from others, but you also want freedom. You may oscillate between deep connection and sudden withdrawal. When the pack feels safe, you thrive. When it feels restrictive, you retreat. This is not inconsistency. It is the wolf's dual nature. The wolf is both fiercely devoted and fiercely independent. Your strength lies in your capacity for deep, lasting relationships. You do not form shallow bonds. When you commit to someone, you commit fully. You remember who showed up when you needed them. You remember who disappeared. This memory is not bitterness, it is wisdom. People who choose the wolf often become emotional anchors in their communities. Others turn to you in crisis because they know you will not abandon them. However, the wolf carries a shadow. When loyalty becomes rigid, it turns into tribalism. You may develop an us versus them mentality. You may judge outsiders harshly or cling to relationships that have outlived their purpose. There is also the danger of self-sacrifice. Wolves who give too much to the pack often lose themselves. You may prioritize others' needs over your own, believing your worth is measured by how much you give. This is not love. It is depletion. Another challenge is the fear of exclusion. Because belonging matters so deeply, rejection feels catastrophic. You may avoid conflict, suppress your feelings, or conform to group norms even when they contradict your values. The wolf archetype asks you to examine this. Where are you trading authenticity for acceptance? Where are you staying loyal to people or situations that no longer serve your growth? Ask yourself, who are your people? Not the people you think you should be close to, but the ones who actually see you and accept you. The wolf is not asking you to abandon your need for connection. It is asking you to choose your pack wisely. It is asking you to be as loyal to yourself as you are to others. And yet not all psychological forces are rooted in the ground of relationship. Some soar above it, seeking perspective that only distance can provide. To understand that contrast, we now turn to the second animal, the eagle. Vision and the path of independence. If the eagle called to you, you are someone who sees what others miss. This animal represents clarity, independence, strategic vision, and the capacity to rise above circumstances that overwhelm most people. The eagle does not walk, it flies. It does not follow. It leads from a vantage point others cannot reach. People drawn to the eagle possess a natural ability to perceive patterns, anticipate outcomes, and understand systems at a macro level. You are a strategic thinker. You do not get lost in details unless those details serve a larger purpose. You likely value autonomy deeply. You do not need constant validation. Too much input from others can feel suffocating. You trust your own judgment because you have spent years refining it. You observe, analyze, and decide based on what you see, not what you are told. This makes you remarkably self-reliant, but it can also make you isolated. The eagle flies alone not because it dislikes company, but because few can keep up with its altitude. From a Jungian perspective, the eagle connects to the archetype of the sovereign self, the part of the psyche that refuses to be defined by external circumstances or collective opinion. Jung believed that individuation requires the courage to stand apart from the crowd, to see through cultural illusions, and to trust one's inner authority. Those who resonate with the eagle are naturally inclined toward this path. You question assumptions others take for granted. You do not follow trends. You do not fear being different. This perspective gives you power. You see opportunities others overlook. You anticipate problems before they arrive. You cut through confusion with clarity that feels almost prophetic. Leaders, visionaries, and innovators often carry the eagle archetype. You inspire others not through emotion, but through insight. When you speak, people listen because they sense you have seen something they have not. However, the eagle carries a shadow. Height creates distance. The higher you fly, the further you move from the ground where most people live. You may struggle with intimacy, not because you do not care, but because emotional closeness requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires descending from the safety of your vantage point. You may intellectualize feelings rather than feeling them. You may analyze relationships rather than experiencing them. Another challenge is the burden of vision. Seeing clearly is not always a gift. Sometimes it is a curse. You see problems others ignore. You see consequences others deny. You see potential that will never be realized because people refuse to act. This can lead to frustration, cynicism, or quiet resignation that nothing will change. There is also the danger of arrogance. When you see more clearly than others, it is easy to believe you are superior. You may dismiss people who do not share your insight. You may become impatient with those who move slowly or emotionally. But clarity without compassion is cold. Vision without connection is sterile. Ask yourself, what are you seeing that you are not acting on? Where is your clarity becoming an excuse for detachment? The eagle is not asking you to lower your standards. It is asking you to bring what you see back down to earth, to share it in ways others can receive, to remember that wisdom without embodiment is just observation. And yet not all wisdom comes from height. Some comes from depth, from the willingness to dive beneath the surface and play in the currents others fear. To understand that energy, we now turn to the third animal, the dolphin. Intelligence through flow. If the dolphin drew your attention, you move through life with a rare combination of intelligence and ease. This animal represents playfulness, emotional fluidity, adaptability, and the capacity to navigate complexity without losing joy. The dolphin does not fight the ocean. It dances with it. It does not fear depth. It explores it with curiosity. People drawn to the dolphin understand that life is not meant to be conquered but experienced. You likely have a natural gift for reading emotional currents. You sense what people are feeling before they say it. You notice shifts in energy, unspoken tensions, and the emotional climate of any room. This is not psychic ability. It is empathy refined through deep listening. You understand that communication happens on multiple levels, and you are fluent in all of them. This makes you an exceptional mediator, collaborator, and friend. People feel safe around you because you do not judge. From a Jungian perspective, the dolphin connects to the archetype of the trickster and the healer, two roles that seem contradictory but are deeply related. The trickster disrupts rigid structures through play. The healer restores balance through presence. Those who resonate with the dolphin often embody both. You have a lightness that disarms people. You can make someone laugh in the middle of tension. You can shift the energy of a difficult conversation with a well-timed observation or gentle humor. Your strength lies in your adaptability. You do not cling to fixed ideas about how things should be. You respond to what is. When circumstances change, you change with them. This fluidity makes you resilient in ways rigid personalities cannot understand. You do not break under pressure. You bend. You flow around obstacles rather than crashing into them. However, the dolphin carries a shadow. Fluidity can become avoidance. Playfulness can become deflection. You may struggle with depth, not because you lack it, but because you fear what happens when you stop moving. Stillness can feel dangerous. Silence can feel uncomfortable. You may use humor to avoid difficult emotions. You may use charm to keep people at a safe distance. Another challenge is prioritizing harmony over truth. Because you are so attuned to others' feelings, you may suppress your own needs to keep the peace. You may agree when you want to disagree. You may smile when you want to scream. The dolphin is a social creature, and social creatures often learn to perform emotional labor to maintain group cohesion. But this comes at a cost. There is also the danger of being underestimated. Because you are playful and non-threatening, people may assume you are not serious or deep. They may confide in you but not respect your boundaries. They may take your kindness for granted. The dolphin archetype asks you to examine this. Where are you allowing yourself to be diminished? Where are you hiding your intelligence behind charm? Ask yourself, what are you avoiding by staying in motion? Where is your adaptability masking a fear of commitment or confrontation? The dolphin is not asking you to become rigid. It is asking you to honor the full spectrum of your emotional experience, including the parts that are not joyful, not light, not easy. And yet there is one final animal, one that carries the paradox of fragility and transformation, vulnerability and power. To complete this journey, we now turn to the fourth animal, the butterfly, the courage to transform. If the butterfly is the animal you chose, you understand transformation at a cellular level. This creature represents change, evolution, and the capacity to release old identities in order to become something new. The butterfly does not resist its metamorphosis. It surrenders to it. It enters the chrysalis not knowing what will emerge. People drawn to the butterfly carry a deep knowing that who they were is not who they are becoming. You likely have experienced significant transitions in your life. These may have been external, moves, career changes, relationship endings, or internal shifts in belief, identity, or purpose. Each transition required you to let go of something familiar to reach for something unknown. Most people resist change even when it serves them. But you have learned that clinging to what no longer fits is more painful than the uncertainty of transformation. From a Jungian perspective, the butterfly connects to the archetype of rebirth, one of the most powerful symbols in human consciousness. Jung believed the psyche is constantly dying and being reborn, moving through cycles of dissolution and reintegration. Those who resonate with the butterfly are conscious participants in this process. You do not just experience change, you actively engage with it. Your strength lies in your courage. It takes immense bravery to let go of what is known, even when it is limiting, to move toward what is possible. Most people choose the comfort of the familiar over the risk of transformation. But you choose growth, even when it is painful, even when it means walking away from relationships, identities, or dreams that no longer align with who you are becoming. However, the butterfly carries a shadow. Constant transformation can become exhausting. You may struggle with rootlessness, as though you are always in transition and never fully arrived. You may fear that if you stop changing, you will cease to exist. There is also the danger of using transformation as escape. When life becomes difficult, you may instinctively look for the exit, the next chapter, the new beginning. But not all discomfort requires change. Sometimes it requires staying. Another challenge is vulnerability. The butterfly is delicate. It is beautiful, but fragile. Those who carry this archetype often feel exposed. You may struggle with boundaries, with protecting your energy, with saying no. You may give too much, trust too quickly, or open your heart before it is safe. Openness without discernment leads to depletion. There is also the risk of being misunderstood. People who have not experienced deep transformation cannot relate to your journey. They may see your changes as instability. They may judge your evolution as inconsistency. They may want you to stay the same because your growth challenges their stagnation. Ask yourself, what am I ready to release? Not what you think you should release, but what your intuition knows is complete. The butterfly is not asking you to change for the sake of change. It is asking you to honor the organic process of your own metamorphosis, to trust that what falls away is making space for what is trying to emerge. Integration. When the four animals walk together. Your choice of animal was not a definition, it was a mirror. Each animal represents a dominant archetypal pattern, loyalty and belonging, vision and independence, flow and emotional intelligence, or transformation and courage. But no human being is made of only one archetype. The purpose of this test is not to box you into a category, but to illuminate which psychological force is currently most active in your life. Carl Jung believed that wholeness does not come from identifying with one part of ourselves, but from integrating all parts. When we over-identify with the wolf, we may lose our ability to see clearly. When we over-identify with the eagle, we may lose connection to others and to joy. When we over-identify with the dolphin, we may avoid necessary discomfort. When we over-identify with the butterfly, we may become ungrounded, always changing, but never rooted. Your chosen animal shows where your psychic energy naturally flows. The other animals show what may be underdeveloped or waiting in the background. Growth begins when you recognize this imbalance without judgment. If you chose the wolf, integration means learning when to step back and trust your own vision. If you chose the eagle, integration means descending and allowing yourself to be touched by emotion. If you chose the dolphin, integration means honoring the depths without escaping into lightness. If you chose the butterfly, integration means grounding your transformations, allowing stillness between changes. Individuation is not a destination. It is a continuous unfolding. You do not become whole once and remain whole forever. You move toward wholeness through awareness, through making conscious what was unconscious, through bringing balance to what was fragmented. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you feel out of balance? Where is one archetypal force dominating while another is being neglected? Often, our struggles are invitations to integration. The wolf who learns to fly becomes a leader with vision. The eagle who learns to connect becomes a visionary with heart. The dolphin who learns to transform becomes a healer with depth. The butterfly who learns loyalty becomes a transformer with roots. As you move forward, carry this awareness with you. Notice when the wolf seeks belonging, when the eagle seeks perspective, when the dolphin seeks flow, when the butterfly seeks change. These are not contradictions. They are conversations between different parts of your soul, each asking to be seen, honored, and integrated. If this reflection resonated with you, share which animal you chose in the comments. Your choice may help someone else recognize their own inner landscape. Because the path forward is not about choosing the right animal. It is about learning to embody all of them with consciousness, compassion, and courage.